Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, let me share my screen. Zoom is not responding, but let's check. Got it. Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay.
Okay. We see it. Yep.
Okay, you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, Haribo. So let's start with Mangalacharan. First of all, Hare Krishna to everyone. We are meeting after a long time and we'll keep this brief. We'll just do it for 30 minutes and maybe next time we'll do it for 1 hour. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so who wants to start first? Okay, Ishan, go ahead.
What?
Come on. What happened?
ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानं विनाशनाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकाम्.
Thank you, Ishan. Who else is there who has joined? Hare Krishna, Shreya.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatharnitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vaijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devan Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Vaidam Shri Vishakanitam.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shreya. Adav, you want to do next? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Adav, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, can you take Mangalacharan? Next one.
Okay. Hey Krishna Kauna Sindhu Dinu Pandochakapate Kopesha Kopikankanta Vada Kantana Mushute Tapta Kanchana Kovangi Vade Vrindavaneshwami Vishupanushute Devi Panamami Hari.
Thank you, Adav. Wonderful. Who else is there?
Mahima's there.
Mahima is there? Okay, Mahima, can you sing this one?
The second verse, Prabhuji.
Yes, Vanchakapa.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha wait, that one, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mahima.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम
Thank you, Mahima. Okay. Who else is there? Let's do a couple of more verses. Or we can, like take again turn. Okay, Ishan, can you take this one?
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये.
Haribol. Okay. Next, who wants to take? Adav, you want to take this one? Adav or Shreya?
Prabhuji, I only know a little bit.
Oh, who is there?
Shreya.
Shreya, you already did, right? But we have less kids today,
Everyone
so can we repeat?
Everyone did it.
Okay.
Okay. Shrimatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi abhijani vidunantu ti shitam satam.
Wonderful. Okay, so now next time what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask any one of the shloka, whatever we took till now, like you sang one of them, right? So if you can remember the meaning, that'll be wonderful. So I'll ask question on what Mangalacharan we recite, and you have to answer. Or maybe if you can, sing that particular shloka and tell all of us the meaning. Is that possible? Would you like that idea? Ishan is raising his hand with the thumbs up. Okay, wonderful. So you sang one particular shloka, right? So if you can try to memorize that meaning of that shloka, is that okay? And then next time when we take, we'll ask kids to recite the shloka and tell us the meaning. We'll try to hide the meaning that time.
Wait, I went 2 times.
Yeah, so you can take any one of it, whichever you like.
Okay.
Okay, if you want to do 2, that's fine too. Okay, so because we are trying to keep it short, we have only 20 more minutes, so we directly go to the incarnation which we were discussing. So till now how many incarnation we have discussed till now? Anyone?
Naranarayan, I believe.
Till Narayan Rishi we did? Okay.
We did that.
Okay, perfect. So let's go directly to that. We did 4 Kumaras. I'm going a little fast, so it'll be like you will see the screen and it is going fast. So 4 Kumaras we did. Then we did Varadev. You try to balance the ball on your nose, right? So you remember all the past times. We'll take questions also next time. And then we did discuss about Devarshi Narad. And then after that, we discussed about Narayan Rishi. I'm just going fast so that you will have a glimpse of what we discussed. It'll remind you. Okay. So he killed the demon Sahasrasura, right? Ashastra Kavach. And today we are going to discuss about one more incarnation of Krishna. Okay. Can you guess who he is? Ishan?
Is it Kapila Muni?
Yes, Lord Kapil Dev. Yes, wonderful. So today we are going to discuss about Lord Kapila. Okay. So Lord Kapil Dev, if you see here, he is nicely sitting there in a cross-legged position and he is kind of instructing. Okay. So let's see who Lord Kapila is, who are his father and mother, and what he did. Okay. What he gave to the world. And what was the purpose of his incarnation. So let's just read this shloka. Who wants to try? Looks like Adav is raising hand. Oh no? Okay. Ishan is raising hand. Okay, Ishan, can you try?
Panchama Kapilo Nama Saddesha Kalaviplutam Pravokshore Sankyam Tattvagrama Vinirnayam.
Wonderful, Ishan. So it is Pancham Kapilo Nama. So whenever there is a bar at the A line on top of A, it is Nama, not Nama. Okay. So Panchamaha Kapilo Nama Siddesha Kala Viplutam. Then again here you see there are 2 lines. So Prova Cha Surye. Prova Cha Surye. Sankyam. Here also A on top of A we see the line. So it is Sankyam. Tattva Grama Vinirnayam. So let's see what is the meaning. They say the 5th incarnation named Lord Kapila is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an expression of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri. Let me just move this. I think I'm not able to see what is there. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And metaphysics to Asuri Brahman. For in course of time, this knowledge had been lost. So, who is the fifth incarnation? Lord Kapila, right? And he said that he is the foremost among perfected beings. So he is. That's why we call him as Kapila Muni. Also, he is a sage. In the Krishna has come in the form of sage. And what he did, he gave an exposition of creative elements. We'll see what are those creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahman. For in course of the time, this knowledge had been lost. So this Sankhya Yoga, whatever he has taught, in course of time, it seems to be lost. And we see that whenever there is decline in religion and there is, so Krishna comes. So what are the three purposes when Krishna comes? Can you tell me? Do you remember what are the three purposes because of which Krishna comes? Mahima?
To annihilate the miscreants, to deliver the pious, and to
Yes. So what are the three things to annihilate the miscreants? Paritrana is sadhuna, vinashaya. So annihilate the miscreants, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma sanstapana. So to establish the religion. Okay. So these are the three reasons for which Krishna comes. He takes avatar in different yugas, and then either he is giving instruction in the form of different shastras, or he is trying to establish the religion with killing all the miscreants and giving happiness and the pastimes to all the devotees so that they can remember and they can become cheerful by hearing Krishna's pastime. So let's see what he did and how he performed in this particular avatar. So Lord Kapila Dev, you see he is sitting there and one lady is sitting down. So can you guess who is the lady sitting down and Kapila Muni is instructing? Ishan is raising hand.
Devahuti, his mother.
Devahuti, his mother. Okay, wonderful. So maybe you can try to mimic Lord Kapila Dev. Today you can sit on like some sofa and ask your mama to sit down and just behave like Kapil Muni. But before that you have to read about Kapil Muni. Otherwise, what you will instruct? Okay. So let's go and see what Kapil Muni did. So Kapil Muni, let me just minimize this. I'm not able to see you guys now, but I just minimize it. So Karda Muni instructed by Lord Vishnu. So what he was instructed? So Karda Muni was a great sage. He was so dedicated to Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was instructed by Lord Vishnu himself. For what? We'll see next. So Lord Vishnu instructed him that Swayambhu Manu is going to visit you and he is going to ask you different questions at that time, and then he is going to ask that can you please marry my daughter. So who is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu? Ishan just answered. So Devahuti was the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. So then marriage of Karda Muni and Devahuti happens because Lord Vishnu personally instructed him and Swayambhu Manu came and he offered his daughter in marriage to Karda Muni. And now it is so difficult to understand that Swayambhu Manu was the king of the whole world that time, and why he is asking Karda Muni to marry his daughter. He is just a sage. He doesn't have good living, not a good money, nothing. He is ascetic in some middle of the forest. He is sitting. So why did he ask? So foremost qualification for a person, to be a wife or a husband or a son or a daughter is to become a devotee of Lord Krishna. So it's very important. And that's what Swayambhu Manu saw in Karda Muni. And Lord Vishnu also instructed him. So earlier, Swayambhu Manu was having a desire so that he can marry his daughter to some great personality, and then Krishna fulfills that. And even Kardama Muni was also wanted to marry some good personality, and Lord Vishnu arranged for that by offering, by instructing him that Swayambhu Manu will come and he will ask Devahuti in marriage to Kardama Muni. So they both get married. And then Kardama Muni is a very great ascetic, so he is not able to, take care of so much of his wife. But wife was always taking care of him. And one day he realizes that wife is, although she is a great princess, but she is like losing her weight, and she is not taking proper care of herself. So then, with his yogic powers, he creates the entire city. You see here, which is floating in the sky. And then Kardama Muni takes Devahuti for honeymoon. So let me just see your reactions for that one. So you can imagine, people, go to different places to, roam around. And here, Kardama Muni is creating the entire city so that they can, go for honeymoon. And that city is floating. It is not like some one, house floating. It is entire city. You imagine if Fort Lauderdale or Miami is floating in the sky. It'll be so wonderful to see. So that is the power of great devotees of the Lord. Adam is asking question. What is the question, Adam?
Who's the daughter of Swayambhu Muni?
What was the question? I'm not able to understand.
His question was like, who was the daughter of Swayambhu?
Oh, daughter of Swayambhu Manu is Devahuti. You see the lady here who is sitting down, and this one, she is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. Swayambhu Manu, you know that there are different Manus in the day of Brahma, right?
Yeah.
So Swayambhu Manu was one of them, and he was the king of the whole world, or for say whole creation kind of. So at the same time, you see that Swayambhu Manu, yeah, he is offering his daughter to a ascetic, and then that ascetic Kardama Muni, he is creating the entire city for the pleasure of his wife. So who all wants to create the entire city floating today? Nobody has that power, but then if somebody is devoted to Krishna, he can do that. So now we'll see that how many daughters and son, Kardama Muni and Devahuti had. So I just wrote K and D there. It's Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So, Ishan is answering. What is the answer?
So wait, so like they also got married on one condition. Kapila Muni would leave home as soon as they had a son.
Yes. So Kardama Muni is going to leave as soon as the son is born to Devahuti. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Ishan, for telling us that. So it is, like difficult to know how can a husband, leave when just son or they are born and leaving his wife in middle of forest. But then we have to understand that the sages, they were always striving for the ultimate perfection. And we know that Kardama Muni was also knowing that Krishna himself is going to come in Lord Kapila's form, and then he is going to instruct his wife. So that's why he leaves. And then he wants to perfect his life by remembering Krishna. So Ishan, you want to say something?
Kapila Muni, the reason he left home is because he was used to like worshipping God Vishnu, and he wasn't used to like being like his father in which Ras? Vatsalya Ras.
Vatsalya. Correct. So that is wonderful to even know that the earlier times there were always sages used to follow this standard, and then they try to dedicate their life in service of Lord Krishna and to please devotees. So we see here that like one city is being created, and Kardama Muni is taking his wife, and that city itself has so many maid servants, and Devahuti was served by them. And then Kardama Muni and Devahuti had 9 daughters and 1 son. So one son we already know is Kapil Dev, and 9 daughters. They were married to 9 sages, which we called. Okay, Ishan is raising hand. Who is those sages?
I don't remember.
Yeah, even if you don't know the name, you can just say who they are. Whatever you got them.
I mean, they were like very, like they were sages, and like, wasn't one of them Durvasa Muni? One of them, I know that.
Yeah, one of them was Durvasa Muni also.
And then I think one of them was Daksha.
I guess so. I have not put the list this time, but maybe next time when we come, what we will do is, this is kind of little homework for you guys, and we will like try to list all 9 sages out. Okay, wonderful. So then Kapil Muni, we know that he is none other than Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is coming in the form of Lord Kapila to give Sankhya Yoga to the world. And so what he does when he comes, he teaches the metaphysics, which is called Sankhya, and creative elements. So he gives all this knowledge about metaphysics and creative elements. So we'll see what those are. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 3, past times, when KM Kardama Muni starts with conversation between sage Maitreya and Vidura. So at that time, this narration comes, and it is like multiple chapters after chapter given about Kardama Muni and his pastimes. So when you get a chance, try to tell your parents if they can read and narrate you the pastime, or you can try to read if it is possible for you. Okay, and then in those pastimes, Kapila Muni also explains about different modes which we are in. So 3 modes we know. So can you tell the Sanskrit name of these 3 modes if you remember, Mahima?
Rajagun, Tamagun, and Sattvagun.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mahima. So we know that we all are intertwined in 3 modes of material nature, which is Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Most of us are mostly in Tamagun. And then when we want to, go to create something, go to offices, do this, do that, we are always in Rajagun. We are running around. But to go into Sattvagun, we have to follow the life of, very peaceful life. We have to follow. We have to, eat foods which is in Sattva. But definitely Sattvagun doesn't come unless person comes into devotional service, which is even filtered from Sattva Gun as a Suddha Sattva. So when anybody worships Krishna, anybody performs devotional service, his consciousness becomes clear like a water, so that he can even see the bottom of the river or even some water body. So these are 3 modes which are also explained in the conversation of Kapila Muni. And Kapil Muni also instructs about devotional service in a very great detail. So that also we can try to read, and it is very good instructions there. And now we will see what all 24 elements in about Sankhya Yoga Kapil Muni taught. So let's see what are those 24 elements. If you want to guess anything, if you know any elements. Okay, no problem. So let's see. Maybe you will see, oh, I knew that when I go for the next one. Okay. So first one is 5 gross elements. Let me just minimize this. 5 gross elements. So we all know about these 5 gross elements. Yeah. Okay. So earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Okay. So let me just take it on this side for time being. So these are all 5 elements: earth, water, ether, fire, and air. Okay, fire, air, ether. The next one is 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So how we acquire the knowledge? So through our eyes, ears, mouth, nose, and skin. Or yeah. So because of these senses only we are able to understand anything. Say if it is very dark in the room, can we see? No, because our eyes has a limitations in terms of what is the visible range. And ears also cannot hear everything. Can we hear the dog whistle? Can we hear what is happening in 1 mile from my house? Or maybe even a couple of meters is difficult, right? So my ears has limitation. Then my mouth. Can my mouth, like through mouth we try to test, right? Like we put a food in the mouth and then what we do? We try to taste the food. So different foods has different taste. And say if we eat too much sugary stuff and then we eat some less sugar sweet, we'll be able to taste it? No, we'll feel, oh, there is no taste in this one. Even nose, we smell. So different, smells come. Some smells we like, some smells we don't. And then some smells we may not be even able to identify if we don't have knowledge. And then skin. With the skin, we can, see how cold or hot it is. So these are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So through those, we acquire the knowledge. So we all have those. You can try to touch your senses, So how many eyes we have? How many ears? 2. Nose? 1. How many nostrils? 2. Okay. How many tongue we have? 1. And skin touch? How many? All over the body, right? I'm just sticking with it. But anyway, so it is very important to understand that if we don't have senses, we'll not be able to acquire any knowledge of this world. So we have to thank Krishna that Krishna gave us these senses. And some people may not have eyes, some people may not be able to hear, some people may not have, tongue through which they can speak. So different people don't have, some people may not have everything, but we have everything and we are able to, it is all very good. So we have to thank Krishna for giving us all these senses so that we can try to understand the world created by Krishna. So next one is 5 working senses. So these working senses, so these are what? Hands, legs, mouth again, rectum and genitals. So these are the senses through which we do the work. Okay. So we have to understand that all these senses are given to us so that we can perform the work. If we don't have hands and legs and mouth and all these senses, we eat. So we have to even input we take. So we have to give output also. So we have those senses as well. Okay. So otherwise it'll be too much traffic in my stomach. It'll be too bad. So hands, legs, mouth, rectum and genitals, all these are 5 working senses. Okay. The next one is 4 subtle elements. And now these are the, why it is called subtle? Because we cannot see it. So we call first like 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, because those we can see or we can at least feel. But subtle elements we cannot see. So what are those? Mind, intelligence, false ego, and contaminated consciousness. Why it is called contaminated consciousness? Because we have pure consciousness, but we come in touch with this material world. And that's why our consciousness becomes polluted or contaminated. It is just like water. When some mud is put into it, it becomes dirty. So same way, although we are part and parcel of Krishna, we have pure consciousness, but because we come into contact with this material world, our consciousness becomes contaminated. We can take one example like, okay, Mahima has one example.
Wouldn't bad association also be one? Because even though it's like in the material world, if we're around like devotees, then our consciousness will also be around Krishna. But if we're around non-devotees, then our consciousness will be around materialistic things and things that are away from Krishna.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very wonderful point. So when we are around people who are always trying to enjoy or do a sense gratification, then our consciousness also becomes spoiled. So it is like, say you always associate with somebody who is, drinking. It's not a little bad example, but if he is always drinking, but not water, but some wine or something, which is not good. So all people are already into contaminated consciousness, but the activities what they do, they even put them more into a more contaminated consciousness. So they become even more dull to understand anything which is, related to spirituality. But when we associate with the devotees of Krishna, they are always refined in their consciousness. So with their association, we also develop a pure consciousness. So it is just like we have an example in Shikshashtakam where it is called Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So when you clean, maybe you can try to take today, one paper towel or some napkin and try to clean the mirror which you have in your house. You will see there will be some dust, and the more you clean, the more better you can see yourself. So try that today, okay? That is like taking association of very sincere devotees and trying to clean our consciousness through chanting and all the activities which we do for spirituality. Okay, try that today if possible. So next one, like mind, intelligence, false ego, and contaminated consciousness, called pradhan. It is being called there. And then 5 subtle elements. What are those? Let's move this one a little bit. So what are these 5 subtle elements? It's an object known by above senses. So when we, all these senses what we have like 5 knowledge acquiring senses through which what we experience is called subtle elements. So with eyes we see something, so it is called sight. With nose we smell. With ears we hear the sound. With tongue we taste, and with skin we touch. So these are the subtle elements. And yeah, so example is given here on object of the senses. So we have to understand that all sense object is associated with its sense elements. So even though if we have a sense of senses, but if no element come in contact, you will not be able to experience the working of the senses. You understood why it is being listed? Because unless we get any sense element, even with the senses, we'll not be able to experience that thing going around us. Okay. And the 25th element, which is very wonderful. Ishan is trying to raise hand, or actually I wanted to ask a question, but then I clicked it. So sorry for that. I spoiled the fun. I wanted to ask the question. What is the 25th element? So maybe let me ask you the question. So 25th element listed here is time. So what is this time? And can anybody guess? Who is this time? Anyone? Ishan?
Destruction, maintenance, and creation.
Yeah, wonderful. So it is in the form of destruction, maintenance, and creation. But who is the time? Okay. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says something about time. Okay. So what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, time I am. Krishna himself is the time. Okay. So here is the clock with Krishna. So whenever you see clock, what you have to remember? Krishna. So in this material world, Krishna has created the concept of time, by which we can see all these 24 elements interacting with each other. And nothing is permanent in this material world. Everything is, kind of takes, grows, produces offsprings and dwindles and dies. So we have to understand that time is impacting everything and anything in this world, and we have to always respect our time and others' time as well, and then help each other so that we can wonderfully trying to remember Krishna. So Lord Kapila's teaching with these 24 elements is very amazing. You can try to read the section in the third canto, where there are a lot of chapters, which is there about how Vishnu instructs Kardama Muni to marry Devahuti when Swayambhu Manu comes and approaches, and then he gets married. Then he kinds of creates one honeymoon package by creating a city, takes his wife around in that city, and then later on they have 9 daughters and 1 son, and then then Lord Kapila instructs his mother when Kardama Muni leaves, and then wonderfully describes all the Sankhya Yoga philosophy, 24 elements, and the devotional service. So, which is very wonderful to hear about devotional service from Kapila Muni, which he describes how we can perform devotional service very joyfully. So, any question, and then we'll try to end the session. And then when we meet next time, you remember your homework, right? From Mangalacharan, what you have to do, and take one shloka, whichever you like. You can even repeat. Say Mahima is taking one, and same thing is taken by Ishan or Adha. That's fine too. But whatever you like, take one shloka and then try to remember the meaning. Okay. Okay. Question, Ishan.
It's really a comment, but like I got all my reference from this book, Bhagavatam Tales.
Oh, wonderful. So maybe when you come to meet with the children, so then you can try to tell one pastimes of Kardama Muni next time. Lord Kapila. Okay.
And one more thing, can we talk
Can we talk?
like after the class? Like, can we talk?
You want to talk about what? You want to share
No,
some?
like, can we just like stay in the meeting after the class is over?
Okay, we can stay for 5 minutes. You can talk whatever you want to. Okay. And Mahima, you have a question or comment?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have a question. So why did what was the reason that Swayambhu Manu wanted to leave after his first son was born?
Oh, Lord Kardama Muni, you mean?
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So one Ishan shared one reason where Ishan, can you share what you were mentioning?
Yeah, because he was used to worshiping the Lord, like, and he was just used to worshiping the Lord, and he wasn't really used to having the Lord in his house, and like he wasn't used to Vatsalya. That's all. Because Vishnu told him that his first son would be Kapila, that would be Kapila Muni as Vishnu himself. So then he didn't feel that was right.
So that is one of the reason which Ishan just shared. So he was always, used to worship Krishna, but he was never having that, Vatsalya ras. So he was always in a awe and reverence kind of mood. But at the same time, we have to understand that whenever sages do anything, there are internal and external meaning. One is Krishna himself wanted that so that he can instruct his mother in the philosophy of Sankhya and devotional service. So that is one reason. Second reason is that sages, by their example, they want to mention that when they are in the Grahastha life, there are different stages. So person first is in a brahmacharya stage, then he gets married, he becomes a Grahastha, and at the end of his before the end of his life, he goes into a vanaprastha, so that although he stays with the family, but he is detached, he is mostly doing trying to work on his devotional service practices and serving, and then at the end he takes sannyas. So and it is not like you are giving up your duties, but it is going into more mature stage of your life, so that you can specifically focus on the spiritualities to perfect your life. So we have to understand that Kardama Muni wanted to focus on his spirituality, and he knew that Lord Kapila himself is there, so he can take care of his wife, and he also knew that Lord Kapila wants to instruct his mother. So these are the different reasons which we hear from Bhagavatam. So Mahima, when you read this section, maybe because you are inquisitive in that area, why Kardama Muni left. So maybe you can try to focus when you are reading. There are many explanation which Prabhupada gives in the purport, and which is very enlivening to learn. And then you can share something which you like there. Okay. Thank you. Adav, you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, tell me.
Can I recap what I learned?
Can I recap?
He wants to recap what he's learned.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Yeah, that'll be so nice, Adav. You can do maybe next time as well. It'll be wonderful to hear from you guys what you learned, so that I know that, okay, do we have to take anything else also, or it'll be nice to know what you got from the session. So maybe we can do this as a practice. Maybe one children can narrate what they learned during the session. So yeah, Adav, go ahead. Oh, you took notes?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Share us what you learned today.
Yes. So first, I wrote what books we learned today, and then I wrote about like who's the data about time and all of that, and then I wrote how much daughters and sons they had, and then I wrote the three modes of and then I wrote the 24 elements.
Oh, you wrote all the 24 elements? Wow. That's very wonderful to know. So maybe what I can do is, like I can just take a screenshot of this and put in the text so that you guys can have this. Let me just, and here in the chat, everyone, let's see if it comes up. Paste. No, it is not coming. So maybe I can, try to, let me just copy this if I can. These are the 24 elements. Okay. Okay. So you can, keep this as a reference or copy and put in your notes or something. It's very nice, Adav, you took notes. Thank you so much. And maybe next time we can take, whoever wants to share what they learned during the session, that'll be also very wonderful to see. Yep. So I wanted to keep this very short for 30 minutes, but it went 15 minutes over. But it is always very fun to, discuss this Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna's different incarnation with you guys. So next time we meet, we'll discuss one more incarnation of Krishna. Okay. And we can stay for 5 more minutes, whoever wants to stay, as Ishan requested. And then you can chat or talk about anything you want. Okay. So it is open for you all, and you guys can